Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday, June 17th. Beginning next week, Texas drivers should expect to see more law enforcement on the roads. They're boosting patrols for Texas Department of Transportation's Summer Sober campaign. It's a statewide effort to keep drunk drivers off the road. Last year, more than 1,000 people died in alcohol-related crashes in Texas. That's 3 people a day, according to TxDOT. The campaign begins June 26th and runs through July 13th, when law enforcement will be looking out for drunk drivers during this time. Corpus Christi City Council officials are meeting at City Hall today. Several items on the agenda include a second reading of approving up to $181 million in utility bonds for water, wastewater, and stormwater, along with a $4 million mid-year budget for animal care services. Another item on the agenda includes the first reading of a resolution to submit an application for staffing for adequate fire and emergency response grant to hire 15 additional firefighters to the Corpus Christi Fire Department. Texas property owners are one step closer to receiving a trio of tax breaks. Houston Public Media's Andrew Snyder says Governor Greg Abbott signed 3 bills into law yesterday afternoon in Denton.
Senate Bill 4 raises the school district homestead exemption to $140,000. Senate Bill 23 gives homeowning seniors and those with disabilities an extra exemption up to $200,000. And House Bill 9 lifts the business personal property tax exemption to $125,000. Governor Abbott said the state spent a total of $50 billion this legislative session to pay for the tax cuts.
25%, a quarter of the Texas state budget, is using money to return to you through tax cuts. No state in the history of America has devoted such a large percentage of their budget to tax relief in the United States of America.
The 2 homestead exemption hikes must be approved by the voters as constitutional amendments this November before they can take effect. I'm Andrew Schneider in Houston.
The Civil War was one of the defining moments in American history, but to those who were enslaved, escape from bondage was the goal. While many slaves did escape via the Underground Railroad, few knew that the path to freedom ran through South Texas. Lon Gonzalez has the details.
The American Civil War was a tumultuous period in American history, with Northern and Southern forces engaging in the most intense battles. But there was another battle going on in Southern states, with enslaved black people working to find a way to freedom. The Underground Railroad was the answer, providing passage for escaped slaves to places north. But few know that same Underground Railroad cut a path through South Texas into Mexico.
It is becoming more widely known that people who were self-emancipating and seeking freedom from being enslaved across the American South were not only traveling north to northern states and then into Canada, but they were traveling south through Texas and across the Rio Grande to achieve freedom in Mexico.
That's Roseanne Bacha Garza, anthropology lecturer, history instructor at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, and also works with CHAPS, the Community Historical Archaeology Project with schools. Bacha Garza has worked on the Underground Railroad's southern pathway to Mexico extensively through the Rio Grande Valley Civil War Trail Project and has taken the information to schools throughout the region since 2015.
We've been developing TxDOT-aligned lesson plans so that the teachers can bring this information into their classrooms along with traveling educational trunks that teachers can use that have materials in them so that the students can have a hands-on experience.
In regards to the number of escaped slaves moving through South Texas, there's no definitive answer, with Bacha Garza estimating somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000, while other figures show as many as 10,000 may have escaped through South Texas. Still, the road to freedom through Texas to Mexico is not as well known.
It's one of those tidbits of information that people don't consider as being part of the South Texas landscape, because we've all learned about Harriet Tubman and her great work to help emancipate people in, over in the east and going to the north. But Texas is a very large place. It's very spread out. The network per se wasn't necessarily a specific group of people. It was, many people spread across the state.
While the history of the Underground Railroad in South Texas continues to unfold, Bacha Garza continues to take the historical information to schools and works on developmental workshops with teachers throughout the region, teaching them about the path to freedom that ran through South Texas into Mexico for escaped slaves. For KEDT News, I'm Lon Gonzalez.
Heavy rainfall and flooding over the weekend have caused major damage to roads in Victoria County, resulting in closures and travel warnings. Kemper City Road East remains closed after a large hole appeared in the center of the road due to the flooding. Jen Road at the Mercado Creek crossing is closed to all through traffic following last week's flooding. This closure will continue until repairs are completed. Motorists are encouraged to find alternate routes and, if possible, stay home. Meanwhile, the northwest side of McAllen is getting some flood relief. City leaders celebrated the completion of a new drainage project yesterday. The regional detention facility took 9 months to complete and will collect runoff water from the area. More than 5,500 feet of ditch was also improved. Officials said the project site was chosen because of the space, but that area has seen flooding in the past. The project cost more than $1 million and is the last of 18 projects completed through the 2018 bond election. In KEDT's Civic Threads series, we examine city government and protocol in Texas, and one prominent civic thread follows the county judge, a full-time elected position. To learn more, KEDT's Joe Smikle spoke with former Nueces County Judge Barbara Canales, who was in the role from 2019 to 2022.
Civic Threads is a series showing city government in practice. One of the civic threads we follow is to the county judge. Throughout Texas's 254 counties, the county judge serves a full-time, elected 4-year term. The county judge is part of a 5-member team that includes 4 county commissioners. 2019-2022, Nueces County Judge Barbara Canales explains the particulars of a county judge's duties.
The judge serves as an administrator for the county and carries the dual role of being the emergency manager for the county. Those are the 2 biggest roles. What's so special about Texas county judges, if you will, is that we're constitutionally created. And so all counties in Texas, all 254, have the same structure. They have 4 county commissioners and 1 county judge. It doesn't matter if you're Harris County, population is over 4 million, or if you're Nueces County, where population is, 360,000. We work the same way. And that's what's nice. Texas is unique in that we do have this special role as emergency manager.
A county judge mediates many different committees, from taxes, the environment, and the military. The county judge works with both federal and state agencies to protect our regional ecology and grow our county economy.
For example, the county judge sat on the South Texas Military Task Force, for instance, and that really gave me a tremendous insight into 3 military installations that our county has. I even coined the phrase Military County USA. And I got very involved at a national advocacy level and a state level to make certain that our military installations, the Coast Guard, the Naval Air Station, as well as Corpus Christi Army Depot, had the resources they needed because they're $1 billion economic impact. And I, as judge, got to play, I think, a major role along with my counterparts. A county judge also sits on the Metropolitan Planning Organization, that's commonly referred to as the MPO, and we work with TxDOT to establish a unified transportation plan for the region, for the future. And we look 10, 15, 25 years in advance.
One of Judge Canales' favorite responsibilities was her work on the National Estuary Program. There, she helped protect the coastal bends, bays, and estuaries, including her work with Bring Baffin Back. For Civic Threads, this is Joe Smikle, KEDT News.
The saga of Austin Tice, a freelance journalist from Houston who went missing in Syria in 2012, may have taken a grim turn. Houston Public Media's Andrew Schneider says a former Syrian general is claiming Tice was executed at the orders of former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad.
BBC News broke the story that Bassam al-Hassan had provided the possible site of Austin Tice's grave. Hassan is a former commander in the Syrian Republican Guards who was once part of Assad's inner circle. According to the report, Hassan told FBI and CIA investigators that he attempted to dissuade Assad from having Tice killed, but he eventually passed on the order. Members of the Tice family and Western intelligence sources say they doubt Hassan's story. Austin Tice was kidnapped at a government checkpoint near Damascus in August 2012. As recently as December, then-President Joe Biden said he had reason to believe Tice was still alive. I'm Andrew Schneider in Houston.
And yesterday morning, Victoria County Animal Services recovered a 5-foot alligator along Zaglen's Parkway, one of the largest the department has encountered. The alligator may have been struck by a vehicle overnight. While these calls are usually handled by Texas Parks and Wildlife Game Wardens, Animal Services responded this time. VCAS Director Mark Sloat said alligators are common in the coastal Bend region and that recent rains and flooding may have raised water levels in unusual areas, giving the animals more room to run. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.